Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way for another transfer update, this time to discuss some outgoing players. Today, we're going to be starting with Ryan Porteous. The Watford Observer reporting this afternoon in an exclusive story that Ryan is set to move to the MLS to join LAFC in a $1 million move. Now, for me, Ryan Porteous is a decent football player. Whenever he played on the pitch for Watford, there was no doubt in my mind he always tried his best. I think for me, his best season at the club was probably alongside Wesley Hute. I think Wesley Hute and Ryan Porteous, in terms of their individual qualities, they complemented each other quite well. Hute loved to play out from the back. He had an excellent left foot, and Porteous was always quite aggressive and front-footed in how he played football. And Wesley Hute was always a coverer in that situation. Porteous in that partnership was always the aggressor, if you will, in that centre-back partnership. So I feel that is where he played his best football at Watford. I think where it went wrong for me, and Porteous, I'm sure, will speak on this eventually himself, and he has done to an extent already. The Euro campaign with Scotland, he got sent off in that first game against Germany, a horror tackle, I think it was, Ilkay Gundogan at the time. And he mentioned himself in interviews, both at Watford and at Preston, that mentally he was never quite the same player after that game, which is completely understandable. And I don't think we really saw the best of Ryan Porteous at Watford after that Euro campaign. He went on loan to Preston and ultimately didn't really tear up trees. I believe they had an option to buy at the time, which they didn't look to activate. So I think for all parties, it's right we move on. I think Watford, it's clear, have been looking for a new central defender this transfer window. Reports today also on Antonio Tikvich suggesting he is on his way out of Watford, joining a club in the second tier of German football, I should say. So two centre-backs departing Watford imminently. Antonio Tikvich off to Germany, and Ryan Porteous off to a lovely location, Los Angeles in the USA. I'm sure Porto will very much enjoy his time out there. And look, I wish both players all the best for the future. I think on Antonio Tikvich, the whole saga with him has been quite bizarre, actually. He joined the club last summer from Udinese on a initial loan deal. We then had the whole situation where the club didn't announce he signed on a permanent deal, and then Gianluca Nani had to kind of come out in January and contradict himself somewhat. So yeah, Antonio Tikvich, a bit like Porto, I think it's time we move on from him. He was never going to play a massive part this season. I thought maybe he might stay as like a fourth or fifth choice depth option potentially in that position, but Watford losing two centre-backs imminently does mean we are only left with Kevin Caben, Matty Pollock and James Abankwah in that position. So you would assume Watford will now go out and look for at least another option in that position, maybe even a fifth choice as well. Of course, Paolo Pezzolano, he primarily plays a 4-3-3, but he does also, on some occasions, judging by his previous clubs, like to revert to a back five system. So I think depth and quality depth in that centre-back position is a real must. So we wish Ryan Porteous and Antonio Tikvich all the best for the future. And last but not least in our update today is Watford being linked yet again with another right back. And the story coming via Anthony Joseph at Sky Sports is that Watford and St Etienne have made inquiries to Sturm Gratz right back Max Johnston. The Scottish international is in high demand this summer, with a host of clubs across Europe monitoring his situation. He has 2 years left on his contract with the Austrian champions. And I messaged Anthony actually after he posted that story because he is a Scottish journalist himself, and by all accounts Max is a really exciting prospect, especially going forward. He's got a really good shot on him and looks a real threat actually in them attacking situations. And once again, we've mentioned this before, but with how Paolo wants to play, I think youth, energy and end product ultimately in this Watford team is going to be really useful this season. So another young player being linked with Watford, another player in that right back position, of course, after Alfie Gilchrist was previously linked with Chelsea. So one to certainly keep an eye on. Thank you so much for watching this video once again. Don't forget to hit subscribe down below and keep your eyes peeled for more content coming up on the channel over the summer. Bye bye.